Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now about a year and a half ago I did a video on the David Bowie album Young Americans where I made it into a double album because there were so many great outtakes that that album would have been absolutely brilliant as a double album. Now Young Americans is one of my favourite David Bowie albums, but after I did that video I always fancied doing this one, and that's making Marc Bolan and T-Rex's Zinc Alloy a double album. Now it's sort of the opposite here because Zinc Alloy is not one of my favourites. In fact, it would be quite low down on my list of favourites for T-Rex. However, I do think that with the amount of outtakes, although not finished, so they would have to be worked on, if they had been added to the album and the whole thing resequenced, it would have been a much better album. Now there's some songs that I just not that keen on, and they got into my worst top 10 of Marc Bolan songs. I'm still keeping them in, and you'll probably say, well, why would you do that? Why not just replace those with some of the outtakes? But I always said that within a double album, per songs you're more forgiving of them. For example, the White Album by the Beatles, I do not think Why Do We Do It on the Road is any good. And a lot of Beatles fans will say, oh, that's brilliant. But then I say, well, if that had featured on Sgt. Pepper or Abbey Road, would it have been as good? And they sort of go, no. So you are more forgiving of the songs. So first of all, what I'll do is I'll show you the Zinc Alloy album. I'll keep the cover and all exactly the same. I really do like that cover, and I do like the back cover. And the original track listing is on side 1, Venus Loon, Sound Pit, Explosive Mouth, Galaxy, Change, Nameless Wildness and Teenage Dream. And side 2, Liquid Gang, Carswell Smith and the Old One. You got the Jive Stay Alive, A Spanish Midnight, Interstellar Soul, Painless Persuasion V, The Meat Hawk Immaculate, The Avengers Super Bad, and The Leopards featuring Gardenia and the Mighty Slug. So now there's been a lot of outtakes from 1973. That is it was released early 74. That is a 14-track album. This double one is turned into a 24-track double album. So I'll go through some CDs where the outtakes, I'll show you them, and then I'll do a listing and put it on screen of what I think would be a pretty good double album. Okay, starting off, and from this CD on side 1 of the first disc from the Messing with the Mystic CD, and it is a track called Welcome to the Show. It's a bit of a jam. That's really all it is with Welcome to the Show, and it's, I think, a pretty good starter. And then the second track would be Venus Loon from the original album, which opens this at the moment. The third track also from this is Change, which is a really good slow song, and then the fourth track is Nameless Wildness. So there's not a lot of change in the first side. The fifth song is Sound Pit, which is originally the second song off this, and then the sixth song on side 1 of the first record is Metropolis Incarnate, which you can find on On Chain Volume 3, and it's also known as Teenage Angel, and he worked on this again in the late 1976 for Dandy and Underworld, but never released. But it is a decent song. It's well formed, but it would have to be re-recorded. As I said before, these are studio demos, so they would really have to be worked on professionally for studio release. Okay, then we go on to the second side of disc 1, and I'm going to start off with an instrumental, and it's Blackjack, and this came out as a single under the name Big Carrot, which was released in mid 1973. Now this sort of paved the way towards Zinc Alloy. It wasn't released as a T-Rex single, it was just to test the waters really, and it did absolutely nothing. But it's a decent enough instrumental, and it does have that Zinc Alloy sound, so I would actually put that on as the opener to side 2. And then we have from back to Zinc Alloy again, and we have Carswell Smith and the Old One, followed by You've Got to Jive to Stay Alive, Spanish Midnight, which those two are connected together, Interstellar Soul, Galaxy, and lastly the Leopards on side 2. So side 2 of this is very similar to side 2 of my double album. So we go on to side 3 and we open up with Liquid Gang from this album. It's the opener of side 2, and then we go into a track called Saturday Night, which you can find on this. Now this is a very, very good song. Now I will say that some of these songs have been re-recorded, well, not re-recorded, there's been instrumentation added in the 1980s, and quite a few of them feature on this album here, Dancing the Midnight, which obviously Bolan had nothing to do with. And it does lift the songs a bit, but it is a bit of a cheap fake really, because it's not T-Rex, it is Bolan's voice, and there's extra guitar added and extra production, etc, etc. But this was like a new Marc Bolan album for me in 1983. So Saturday Night, a very good version, is actually on that album. And then the third song on side 3 is from the original album, and it's Painless Persuasion by the Meat Hawk Immaculate, and again it's followed by The Avengers Super Bad on my new double album. And then the fifth song is from Volume 4, and this is a bluesy type song, and it's not a bad track, and it's Plateau Skull, and this got on one of the greatest hits in 1991, which was the album after 20th Century Boy had become a big hit again. They took it from one of these CDs and put it on, and it's not bad. And then the last track from side 3 for me is Down Home Lady, which is a beautiful little ballad. It's really nice. It's a piano-led song, and it's a lovely way to finish off the side 3. So then side 4, we start off with Dancing the Midnight, which, as I say, on this album here was reworked into a pretty good song, but they would have to do a different arrangement obviously, and to me this could have been a single, one of the 3 singles I would have pulled off this. Well, the other one would have been Venus Loon and obviously Teenage Dream, but this will open up side 4, and then track 2 on side 4 is Delaney, also known as Everyday, and that too featured on the Dancing the Midnight 1983 album. It's a slow song, but it is pretty good. And then the third one is actually the B-side of Teenage Dream, and it's Satisfaction Pony. And I think this should have actually been on the original Zinc alloy anyway. I think it's just a really, really good song. I love the back of that sleeve, by the way. I think it's really, really cool. Which leaves 3 more tracks left, and we go back to the original album, and it's Explosive Mouth, which featured on side 1. It was also the B-side of Light of Love, I believe. And then we have another beautiful ballad called All of My Love, which I think is great. It too was on Dancing the Midnight, but for some reason Marc never bothered. And then to finish off the album, I would have Teenage Dream, and that would be Whatever Happened to the Teenage Dream would be the very last track, and that would be the end of his glam period. So I'll put a list up here of the actual track listing, and I know a lot of people won't know these songs, but the big Bolan fans, if you're watching, tell me what you think. I think it would have improved the album. Yes, I know it's 10 more songs and they're not the highest of quality, but as I say, a double album, you're more forgiving of the lesser tracks. Okay, that's me for now. I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.